Alright guys, we're going to do a read aloud, and I thought the best way to do it would be through the Sora app. So you guys will see me in this corner reading, but you will also see the book. So we're going to start. It's called The Unteachables by Gordon Corman. Hopefully you'll be able to see the entire screen. It's going to take me a minute to learn how to turn the pages. See how that works. I get 15 minutes per record. Okay, it is. Let's hope that I can see and you can see all of this. Table of contents. Okay, this is new to me too. I'm learning how to turn pages, so let's see if I can go that way. Oh, okay, let's see, is this gonna work? Alright guys, sorry, so this first recording is going to be, you can hear my dog chewing on her bone here next to me, but we are looking to see, alright, here's full page, on how we get to doing this, so we can actually see the entire page. Search chapters, read settings. Let's go into read settings. Make it a little bit smaller. Let's go back and make that just a little bit bigger. Now, we want to be able to take this off so I can read it. Like chapter 1. There we go. I think you guys can see that now. So what I'm going to do is read to you. Each screencastify gives you 15 minutes, and I will just upload them to a YouTube channel, and then you can follow along. Once we are done, this book, if you have followed along, will give you 55,000 words if you'll take an AR test on it. It is AR test. It does have one, I should say. So that way, all of our kiddos, if you just like to listen to audiobooks, can take the test. Alright guys, here we go. Chapter 1, Kiana Rubini. It's no fun riding to school with the step monster. Not with Chauncey screaming his lungs out in the back seat. Don't get me wrong, I'd cry too if I'd just figured out that the step monster is my mother. But at 7 months old, I don't think he's processed that yet. He just cries. He cries when he's hungry. He cries when he's full. He cries when he's tired. He cries when he wakes up after a long nap. Basically, any day that ends in a Y, Chauncey cries. There also seems to be a connection between his volume control and the gas pedal of the SUV. The louder he howls, the faster the step monster drives. Who's a happy baby? She coos over her shoulder into the back seat, where the rear-facing car seat is anchored. Who's a happy big boy? Not Chauncey, that's for sure. I tell her, hey, school zone, you better slow down. She speeds up. Motion is soothing to a baby. Maybe so, but as we slalom up the driveway, swerving around parked parents dropping off their kids, and screech to a halt by the entrance, it turns out to be one motion too many. Chauncey throws up his breakfast. Suddenly there's cereal on the ceiling and dripping down the windows. Let's see how we turn the page, guys. Alright, you guys are learning with me. I'm going to move this over here so I can see. Seems to be like there should be a... There we go. I'm going to move me back down to the corner now. Alright, that's another thing about Chauncey. His stomach is a food expander. It goes in a teaspoon and comes out 5 gallons. Get out of the car, Monster orders frantically. You have to come in with me, I protest. They won't let me register without an adult. She looks frazzled, and I guess I don't blame her. That much baby puke must be hard to face. I'll run home, change him, wipe down the car. Wait for me. 10 minutes. 15 at the most. What can I do? I haul my backpack out of the SUV, and she zooms off around this circular drive. I don't even have the chance to make my usual Parmesan cheese joke. That's what it smells like when Chauncey barks. When I first came from California to stay with my dad and stepmonster, I thought they ate a lot of Italian food. That was a disappointment. One of many. So there I am in front of Greenwich Middle School, watching swarms of kids arriving for the first day of classes. A few of them glance in my direction, but not many. New girl, who cares? Actually, the new girl doesn't care much either. I'm a short timer. I'm the only one in Greenwich for a couple of months while Mom is off in Utah shooting a movie. She's not a star or anything like that, but this could be her big break. After years of paying the bills with bit parts in sitcoms and TV commercials, she finally landed in independent film. Well, no way could I go with her for 8 weeks. Not that I was invited. Eventually a bell rings and the crowd melts into the school. No stepmonster. I'm officially late, which isn't the best way to start my career in Greenwich. But short-timers don't stress over things like that. Long before it could come back to haunt me on a report card, I'll be ancient history. I check on my phone. It's been 20 minutes since 15 minutes at most. That's stepmonster, or SST, stepmonster standard time. I try calling, but she doesn't pick up. Maybe that means she's on her way and will be here any second. But a lot of seconds tick by. No barf-encrusted SUV. With a sigh, I sit myself down on the bench at the student drop-off and prop my backpack up on the armrest beside me. Stepmonster, her real name is Louise, isn't all that monstrous when you think about it. She's way less out of touch than Dad, which might be because she's closer to my age than his. She isn't exactly thrilled with the idea of having an 8th grader dropped in her lap right when she's getting the hang of being a new mom. She's trying to be nice to me. She just isn't succeeding, like when she strands me in front of a strange school when she's supposed to be here to get me registered. Let's see, turn the page here. Whoops. Go that way, okay. The roar of an engine jolts me back to myself. For a second I think, it must be her. But no, a rusty old pickup truck comes sailing up the roadway, going much faster than even Stepmonster would dare. As it reaches the bend in the circular drive, the front tire climbs the curb and the pickup is coming right at me. Acting on instinct alone, I hurl myself over the back of the bench and out of the way. The truck misses the bench by about a centimeter. The side mirror knocks my bag off the armrest, sending it airborne. The contents, binders, papers, pencil case, gym shorts, sneakers, lunch, are scattered to the 4 winds, raining down on the pavement. The pickup screeches to a halt. The driver jumps out and starts rushing after my fluttering staff. As he runs, papers fly out of his shirt pocket, and he's chasing his own things, not just mine. I join the hunt, and that's when I get my first look at the guy. He's a kid, like around my age. Why are you driving, I gasp, still in shock from the near miss. I have a license, he replies, like it's the most normal thing in the world. No way, I shoot back. You're no older than I am. I'm 14. He digs around in his front pocket and pulls out a laminated card. It's got a picture of his stupid face over the name Parker Elias. At the top it says provisional license. Provisional, I asked. I'm allowed to drive for family business, he explains. Which is what? A funeral parlor? 'Cause you almost killed me. Our farm, he replies. I take produce to the market, plus I take my Grams to the senior center. She's super old and doesn't drive anymore. I've never met a farmer before. There aren't a lot of them in L.A. I know Greenwich was kind of in the boonies, but I never expected to be going to school with old MacDonald. He hands me my book bag with stuff crammed in every which way. There's a gaping hole with a mirror blasted through the vinyl. I'm running late, he stammers. Sorry about the backpack. He jumps in the pickup, wheels it into the parking space, and races into the building, studiously avoiding my glare. Still no signs of Stepmonster on the horizon. I call again, straight to voicemail. I decide to tackle the school on my own. Maybe I can get a hard start filling out forms or something. The office is a madhouse. It's packed with kids who, A, lost their schedules, B, don't understand their schedules, or C, are trying to get their schedules changed. When I tell the harassed secretary that I'm waiting for my parent and her guardian so I can register, she points to a chair and ignores me. Even though I have nothing against Greenwich Middle School, I decide to hate it. Who can blame me? It's mostly Chauncey's fault. But let's not forget Parker McFarmer and his provisional license. My phone rings. A text from Stepmonster. Taking Chauncey to the pediatrician. Do your best without me. We'll get there ASAP. The secretary comes up from behind the counter and stands before me, frowning. We don't use our phone in school. You'll have to turn that off and leave it in your locker. I don't have a locker, I tell her. I just moved here, and I have no idea where I'm supposed to be. She plucks a paper from the sheaf sticking out of the hole in my backpack. It's right here in your schedule. Schedule? Where would I get a schedule? I don't even officially go to school here yet. You're supposed to be in room 117. She rattles off a complicated series of directions. Now, off you go. And off I go. I'm so frazzled that I'm halfway down the main hall before I glance at the paper that's supposed to be a schedule. It's a schedule, all right, just not mine. At the top it says Elias Parker, grade 8. This is Parker McFarmer's schedule. It must have gotten mixed up with my papers when we were gathering up all of my stuff. I take 3 steps back in the direction of the office and freeze. I don't want to face that secretary again. There's no way she's going to register me without Stepmonster. And if there's a backlog at the pediatrician's, I'm going to be sitting in that dumb chair all day. No thanks. I weigh my options. It's only a 15-minute walk home. But home really isn't home, and I don't want to be there any more than I want to be here. If I went to all the trouble of waking up and getting ready for school, then school is where I might as well be. My eyes return to Parker's schedule. Room 117. Okay, it's not my class, but it's a class. And really, who cares? It's not like I'm going to learn anything in the next 2 months. At least nothing I can pick up PDQ when I get back to civilization. I'm a pretty good student, and when Stepmonster finally gets here, they can page me and send me to the right place. Not that I'll learn anything there either. I have already learned one lesson Greenwich Middle School has to teach me. 14-year-olds shouldn't drive. That's when I learn lesson number 2. This place is a maze. My school in LA is all outdoors. You step out of class and you're in a glorious sunshine. You know where you're going next because you can see it across the quad. And the numbers make sense. Here, 109 is next to 111, but the room next to that is labeled Storage Closet E61-B2. Go figure. I ask a couple of kids who actually try to tell me that there's no such room as 117. There has to be, I tell the second guy. I'm in it. I show him the schedule and careful to cover the name with my thumb. Wait. His brow furrows. He points to the class description, SCS 8. I blink. Instead of a normal schedule, where you go to a different class every period, this says Parker stays in room 117 all day. Not only that, but under subject, it repeats the code SCS 8 for every hour except lunch at 12:08. Oh, here it is. I skip to the bottom. Where there's a key explaining what the code means. SCS 8, self-contained special 8th grade class. He stares at me. The Unteachables? Unteachables, I echo. He reddens. You know, like the Untouchables. Only, babbling now. These kids aren't untouchable. They're, unteachable? Bye. He rushes off down the hall. And I just know I could read it in his face, but I didn't even need that much information. Where would you stick a guy who could annihilate a backpack with a half-ton pickup truck? The Unteachables... Sorry, my dog. The Unteachables are the dummy class. We have a couple of groups like that in my middle school in California, too. We call them the Disoriented Express. But it's the same thing. Probably every school has that. I almost march back to the office to complain when I remember I've got nothing to complain about. Nobody put me in the Unteachables. Just Parker, from what I've seen. He's in the right place. I picture myself sitting in the office all day waiting for Stepmonster to arrive. If she arrives. Chauncey's health scares, which happen roughly every 8 minutes, stress her out to the point where she can't focus on anything else. To quote Dad, "Geez Louise," he really says that. And an example of the sense of humor of the